Next up, Mr. Jack Bennett talking about personal journaling. This is going to be great. Give it up for him.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to CodeMash. Before I begin my talk, I have a question, a very simple question, and I want everyone who has had this experience to raise your hand. If you've had something in your life go differently from the way that you expected or the way that you had hoped, please raise your hand. Now, I know that anybody who didn't raise their hand in this circumstance either has to be lying or has to be enlightened on the level of the Buddha, perhaps, because it's a universal feature of human experience. In small ways, in big ways, we have things not go our way. And so the reason for my topic is a technique that you can use to respond to situations in your life that don't go your way. So I'm going to be talking about two specific methodologies of journaling. One is called Mourning Pages. It was invented by a woman named Julia Cameron. I think she taught workshops in it in the late 1980s, but then it got really popular in the early 90s when she released a book called The Artist's Way. Some of you may have heard of it. It's very popular among writers and painters and visual artists. And a lot of people credit it to helping them unblock, as the terminology goes, and become more capable in their creative practice. So that's the Mourning Pages technique. And then another one that I'm going to look over is called the Expressive Writing technique. And this one was studied by a professor by the name of James Pennebaker, who I believe is out of the University of Texas at Austin. And this arose right around the same time in the late 1980s, and it's been studied quite heavily since then. And so the early results that he developed in the 80s have been built and refined, and it's really very well studied. And so if you take something away from my talk, I would say it should be this, that writing down your feelings, writing down your complaints about the world, writing down things that didn't go well, and just exploring what you think, that has a remarkable capability to help you recover and heal and grow from what would otherwise be negative experiences. So here's a wall of text. The two preceding speakers had pretty pictures, but because this is a talk about writing, I'm giving you a lot of text. But focus on the yellow here. What are Mourning Pages? They are 3 pages of longhand, stream of consciousness writing done first thing in the morning. And that's it. That's the only rule. There's no other rule than that. Just write 3 pages of something. If you can't think of anything, write down your shopping list. Write down your complaint. Maybe you had an argument with your spouse or with your children, or you're frustrated about a situation at work, or with your soccer team, one of your teammates isn't pulling their weight. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Write down 3 pages. I've been doing this for 8 months. I had done it previously in earlier stages of life, and it's a remarkable way to kind of flush your habitual thoughts clean and really kind of just press reset on your brain, so to speak. Here's a number of positive, anecdotally reported results from Mourning Pages. Increasing your productivity, reducing the feeling of dropping the ball, feeling capable, processing your worries, giving new ideas, spurring your creativity, uncovering emotions that you didn't know that you were feeling, and more. Moving on to expressive writing, this is a technique that's been heavily studied in academia, and this is a bit more serious, I will say that. The people doing expressive writing were asked to write about a past trauma expressing their very deepest thoughts and feelings surrounding it. And that does sound pretty heavy. It is pretty heavy. The time scale is only 15 minutes over 4 days. So it's a very short psychological intervention. And the results were actually quite amazing. Relative to the control group, the experimental group made significantly fewer visits to a physician in the following months. So it actually has been demonstrated scientifically to show positive immune system effects. And subjectively, those people who practiced this reported finding it meaningful, even if it was upsetting at the time. So in conclusion, this is the takeaway message. Different forms of journaling have demonstrated positive impacts both subjectively and objectively. This has been measured scientifically. And that's pretty remarkable to me, the fact that something so short, just an intervention of an hour over a period of 4 days, can actually increase your immune system function and increase your subjective experience of well-being in life. That's it. Thank you very much.